Greetings everyone, Slizzle466 here, and in today's video we're looking at some of the best wild Hearthstone decks post Mage Hunter nerfs. We start off with Linecracker Druid. So this is a deck that used to be a meme and now it is a legit meta deck. You basically want to play Guff, get a bunch of mana, and then go Linecracker, Bees, Earthen Scales. You can gain over 2,000 armor. If that plan doesn't work, you got a backup plan. You got Mecha'thun, you've got Naturalize or Poison Seeds to automatically win the game. Another control druid deck you might want to like is C'Thun Druid. So C'Thun Druid, it's a new archetype for the Alterac Valley expansion because of Wild Heart Guff. Originally pioneered by Martian. The lists are slowly evolving over time. So this list is running the Twig and Sphere of Sapience combo, which is nice when your Guff is out to automatically jump up to 20 mana very quickly. You've also got a Mutinous in there because Shamans are pretty annoying. But otherwise, pretty solid list. Moving to Hunter, we got Even Hunter. So this is a secret-based hunter, which is what even hunters often are. It's got a lot of face tools as well. So you've got face tools such as the Fellfire Deadeye. You've got your Garrison Commander, for example. Your Dragonbane. And one inclusion I really think is cute here is the Mr. Smite. It's basically a 6-mana fireball, which is fine. There's no other pirate synergy in the deck, but I think it's a cute inclusion and something to consider. Odd Questline Hunter. It's not dead. It's not that good anymore, but definitely it's still a viable deck. Basically, what we have here is we're still going with the tradable version. So you see the imported Tarantula here, for example. But it still does the same thing. It's just been toned down a little bit, but it's still not the worst deck, but definitely not the best deck. Moving to Mage. Mage just got absolutely ruined because of the nerf, so I've only got one deck to share, and it's a deck I haven't even tested because I don't own Auctioneer Jackson. I've seen a few people play this deck against me, and it's a very nice inclusion, but I wouldn't craft it if you don't own it. But basically, we still have the Sorcerer's Apprentice for 4. You still do the same thing. It's still doable. It's just, again, just kind of whacked down a notch, and it's a lot slower now. Moving to Paladin. Handbuff Paladin. A Handbuff Paladin, it's always been a good deck. It's always just kind of hanging around. This specific build, I like to have as many charge minions in my Handbuff Paladin as possible. So I like the Stone Tusk Boar. I like the Chillblade Champion. The Deathlord is a cute little inclusion. This is probably a Shaman tech. Free Shaman is a pretty frustrating deck to play against, so it's a nice inclusion. Dirty Rat as well. But yeah, Handbuff Paladin, very good. Now here's a deck you don't see too much, Aggro Paladin. So this is a deck that I picked up from one of the players on the China server. And so it's a Tax Paladin or Aggro Paladin. And so it's got some cards you may not have seen before. You know, it's running the Gangster. 2 mana 4/2 stealth. After your opponent plays a minion, attack it. It's kind of cute. It's running Vicious Fledgling, Blast to the Past. So that's in there. It's also running Mojo Master Zihi, which is not a meme. 2 of the decks that are really dominating right now are the Guff Druids and Mecha'thun or Owl Warlock, which we're going to see some of those later. And Mojo Master Zihi just slows those decks down hard. So it's a nice inclusion to have in the deck. Moving to Priest, we've got Aggro Priest. Aggro Priest, still solid. This is a list by Blue Train. So Blue Train is opting for the Defias Lepers, which is fine. You might want to swap them out for Galactic Crawlers. That's my preference personally. You also may not be a fan of the Iron Deep Trog, so you might want to swap those out for Galactic Crawlers or something else if your choice. But it's an incredibly aggressive deck. You win games very, very early, like turn 4 or turn 5. If you want to win games very quickly, this is a good way to do it. Another good way to win games quickly is with Combo Priest, though this is a little bit more elaborate to get going. But Combo Priest, I think it's safe to say it's finally a meta deck. There are many variants out there, so it's kind of difficult to choose the best one. However, I am aware that Colorino is a very strong top legend wild player, so I went to opt with sharing their deck list. Basically, you just want to get something to stick. You might get it to stick because it's difficult to remove Nerebar Weblords. You could play Drekthar, get a bunch of stuff out. But basically, as long as you get something stick, it's a pretty good chance that you can draw your deck, play a bunch of stuff, kill your opponent. If there are taunts in the way, you got Shadow the Naru. Really fun deck to play. Once you learn it, very powerful. Moving to Rogue. Quest Rogue. In a meta deck video, Quest Rogue is legitimately now a meta deck. And again, it's one of those decks where there are so many variants out there that it's hard to pick the best one. So I picked this one by Sheik because Sheik's a pretty consistently high legend player. So basically, the cards that make the archetype ridiculous right now is Ram Commander, because you get the Rams with Rush. You've also got Derailed Coaster, which is not a card you may have heard of. 5 mana 3/2. Battlecry, summon a 1/1 rider with Rush for each minion in your hand. So this is more of a mid-game, my quest isn't working out, so here's my backup plan. I haven't tested this myself. I don't run Derailed Coaster in my Quest Rogue, but I've heard it's a pretty good inclusion. One thing I've heard from Quest Rogue players is that they just hate queuing into Freeze Shaman because they can't do anything. Hence the Living Dragon Breath tech. So this gets around the Shaman problem. So if you want to play Quest Rogue, this is definitely a list to try. Got Pillager Rogue. It's the deck I don't know how to play, and it's the deck I lose to all the time. It's really frustrating. The nerf to Cloak of Shadows didn't really make a difference, but it's really, really good if you know how to play it. It's not for everyone, but it's an incredibly strong deck, especially in a very stable meta where you know roughly what your opponent is going to be, aka High Legend. Shaman. Only one Shaman deck, kind of sad. We used to have a lot of Shaman decks, but it just, Free Shaman is so good that it just kind of dumped out all the other archetypes. This is a build from one of my VIPs on Twitch and loyal follower, Spike. So this is his take on Free Shaman. It's a pretty solid list. The text I want to mention is the Mutinous. Some people don't like running more than 2 Murlocs because of the ice fishing. So, you know, the Toxin Flocal combo is insane, but keep in mind that the Mutinous can mess that up. However, Mutinous in the mirror match is absolutely insane. Speaking of mirror match tech, we've got Boom Pistol Bully. Again, not a card you typically see in Free Shaman, but keep in mind that Spike here hit early legend. I imagine that he was queuing into a lot of mirror matches, so Boom Pistol Bully is pretty good. But just keep in mind, you got about you got 3 cards of wiggle room here. Some players don't even like running Grumble. I do myself. I think Grumble's great. Others don't. But you got 3 or 4 cards of wiggle room here, depending on your meta. But Free Shaman, definitely. I don't think it's the best deck, but it is definitely a very strong deck in the current wild meta. And now we go on to the part of the video where we go through a ton of Warlock decks like we always do, because Warlock is absolutely insane. We start with Reno Warlock. Okay, so really quick skim, because again, the thing with Reno decks is it really depends on the meta that you're currently in. So quick skim, you got the Demonic Project. This is great against druids, against shamans. It's a nice inclusion. It's kind of like your second Dirty Rat in a way. But otherwise, again, Boom Pistol Bully, because shamans are annoying. There's Ticketus in here. Again, I'm not a Ticketus fan. I think this is too greedy. But if you'd like to be greedy, go for it. I even think Mutinous is a little greedy to run in your Reno lock. But otherwise, it's a decent list. I think it's pretty good. Again, I just can't stand Ticketus in lists, but otherwise, if you want to play Reno lock, this is a good way to do it. Maybe change 2 or 3 cards, it's up to you, but it's pretty fun list. Cute lock. There's not much to say about this list. It's just really, really good. You spam ridiculous boards early in the game. The Frostwolf Warmaster, it's basically a 0 mana 3/3. So you basically spam a ridiculous board and win, or you don't spam a ridiculous board and maybe win a couple turns later, or you just concede. But the games are really fast, and it's a very strong deck. Giant Warlock. So Giant Warlock, I specifically like this list because it's got some techs I'm a fan of. One of those being Showstopper. So again, free Shaman. Super annoying. Showstopper can silence all minions, which basically means that you can... Typically, you might do a Showstopper Defile, or maybe a Showstopper Touch of the Nathrazim to just unfreeze your board. But also, this list is running Tamsin, Power Overwhelmings, and Stone Tusk Boar. So if you do have a couple slots free, or if you get your board cleared for some reason, you've got an alternate way to kill your opponent. Even Warlock. This is the exact list I hit top 50 Legend with on day 2 of the month. I love this list by Harvey. I think it's great. Looking at the tech cards, I think 1 Neophyte is fine. It buys you a turn against the Druids. I think the double Galactic Crawler is pretty important. There are a lot of Pirate Warriors, and I was actually queuing into quite a lot of Quest Rogues, so this helps slow them down as well. I personally love Recombobulator, and I know as someone who loves memes, I like to run 2, but in reality, if you want to win games, you should probably just run 1. It's fine, but it's so funny just playing this with Goldshire Null. It's just great. Hellfire is a weird one. I don't hate it. It was great against Pirate Warrior. It's also can sneak in lethals. It's a weird one, but I don't hate it. But maybe you do. I don't know. Wailing Soul for Shaman Tech. I like the 1 Nerubian Unraveler. Again, this is great for Druid. It just like stops him in their tracks in the mid game. But otherwise, even Warlock, in my personal opinion, even Warlock is the best deck in Wild. But I know not everyone would agree with that. Owl Warlock. So this is a deck from Standard that has been ported over into Wild and is actually pretty good. So it basically plays very similarly to Mecha'thun Warlock, but the big difference is it's running the Wicked Shipment. So you want to be trading this into your deck to upgrade it. And the reason for that is you want to upgrade it. You want to play your owl and let the owl die because it deals 8 damage to a random enemy. And then with your Tamsin's Phylactery, you basically go Wicked Shipment for 7 imps, Phylactery, and then kill your own imps somehow, whether it's a Defile or a Plague of Flames, and you get to deal a lovely 56 damage to your opponent's face. Against a Druid, it may not be enough. Against a Paladin playing Cariel as the hero, it may not be enough. But the deck is really good. It's a new deck to have in Wild, which is fun, and something you might want to check out. If you want to go more old school though, you can play Mecha'thun Warlock. You can see it's pretty much the same list as the Warlock. The only difference is you're running Shadowhunter Vol'jin, Cataclysm, Mecha'thun, but otherwise it's the same idea. You kill your opponent on the spot. And last but not least is Pirate Warrior. I'm going to feature my own list because I'm biased. I don't care. This is the list that I used to get an 11-star finish on the Europe server. It's a pretty ordinary list until you see the plate breaker. For some reason, when I was climbing into top 150 legend, I was just queuing into so many Linecracker Druids, I was getting super annoyed. So I put a plate breaker in. It wasn't that great, to be honest, because as soon as I put it in my deck, I stopped queuing into Druids. Illuminati matchmaking, I don't know. But if you don't want to run plate breaker, you can just sub it out, put in a card of your choice, put in a Loetheb, put in the anti-freeze Shaman card, the 3-mana one, whatever it's called. Put in a weaponized Pinata, put in whatever you want, because Pirate Warrior is ridiculous, and you can put 1 or 2 terrible cards in the list and still get a very good rank. So that's all the decks I had to share with you for this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch all the way to the end. If you want any of the deck codes, you'll find them in the video description below. You can also, if you're a mobile user and it's difficult for you to get those deck codes, there's an easy to enter link to my Discord. You can visit the deck lists only channel, where it's much easier to copy and paste those deck codes. If you want to help support this channel, you can click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and until next time, hope to see you again.